Well, hello there. You're watching Sketching Past Midnight live here on this Saturday night, Saturday evening, Saturday afternoon. Maybe it might be Sunday morning wherever you're at. Wherever you may be, welcome to the show. This is Sketching Past Midnight Live. I am your host, CB Smallwood, here with you. And tonight, hopefully, we'll be able to do a interview with the creative team behind Designated. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Go on, son. You got to get through there now. So anyway, I got that lined up. We do have some actual weird and strange and interesting news to get the show started off tonight. And I'm going to give everybody a chance to kind of trickle in and get in the studio. We'll see how that works out. And, maybe we may have some time for some sketching. I also want to remind people that I do have a Indiegogo campaign going on right now for the Wildcat Anthology comic, which features 6 different creative teams, and it's got like 9 people that's toiled and boiled and sweat, tears, and blood into this comic book. And I happen to be one of them. Wildcat is, of course, my character for anyone that might be watching that might not be aware. And it is 80 plus pages. It's action with a little dash of horror. And it's a really good book, and I think you will enjoy it. The number one thing that leaps off or speaks about the anthology, it is fun. It's F-U-N. It's fun. And so here is a peek at that. Oh, and please listen to me. Turn down your headphones. Turn down your cell phones and your tablets, because this is going to be loud. And when we come back, turn it back up. You have been warned. And now the news. Okay, today's headline comes to us courtesy of NPR. Always really do enjoy NPR radio. I don't know, it's just really good stuff. But anyway, this is NPR News Online, and the headline reads, "Sharks mistake feet for fish and are likely behind Long Island attacks." This is news to me. I've not heard of this. I've not even read this article. I don't do prep. I should do prep before I go live, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and delve into this. And this is written by Dustin Jones. So let's see what Dustin Jones has in store for us. Here we got an image of a sand tiger shark, and they can grow up to 10 feet in length. The juveniles average 3 to 5 feet. These sharks have menacing appearance, but aren't known for unprovoked attacks on humans until now. Now they are feed eaters. A series of 5 shark attacks in 2 weeks on New York's Long Island probably has many beachgoers in the Northeast hesitant to wade into the water. But the sharks aren't targeting humans. They're after fish. Don't believe the mainstream media. They're after feet. We know this because feet are tasty. Not that I know, but According to Ed Ginn, they were delicious. A sand tiger shark nursery located just off the Long Island coast and an abundance of bait fish close to the shore could explain the recent string of unwanted encounters. According to Florida Program for Shark Research Programmer Director, that was a mouthful, Gavin Naylor. The tiger sand shark is one of the more menacing looking creatures lurking beneath the ocean surface. It can grow up to 10 feet in length and has a set of jagged teeth protruding from its jaws. However, as sharks go, this big fish shouldn't be a cause of alarm. Shouldn't be a cause of alarm. What's this headline about it eating feet? I don't know. The sand tiger is a relatively docile species of shark that wants little to nothing to do with humans. Attacks are almost always carried out by smaller juveniles that accidentally bite someone while chasing fish. Off the coast of Long Island, there are lots of juvenile sand tiger sharks, a lot of them, and usually we don't have a problem with them. But as you probably heard or reported, a lot of the bait fish, the bunker, the menhaden, are actually closer in this year, and there's a lot more, Naylor said. It's a statistical fact that sharks don't target people. If they did, we'd have about 10,000 bites a day. Oh, that's making me comfortable to get in the water. Scientists with the Wildlife Conservation Society's New York Aquarium announced the discovery of a sand tiger shark nursery off the southern Long Island coast in 2016. Let's skip through some of this. I want to hear more about the feet, what to do if you see a shark. Having said that, there are some extra precautions you can take to better avoid an unwanted encounter with sharks. Don't swim between dusk and dawn. Noted. Don't go into the water alone. Double noted. Avoid flashy jewelry. Really? Well, I guess that makes sense. You know, like, you see people go fishing, they got those flashy lures. So I guess there's something to that, which can be mistaken for fish scales. Oh, so that's what those lures are about. Don't go in if you got an open wound. I wonder, this is going to sound crude or crass, but I'm just asking an honest question. Is there certain times when women shouldn't go in the water? I'm just asking, it's not covered here, doesn't hurt. If you've done your due diligence and still come face to face with a shark, the best thing you can do is remain calm. Yeah, so I'm not going to read the rest of that. Dum, bum, bum. Okay. I did have one other news headline. It was about real life Goonies, but maybe I'll save that for next night's show. We've got people waiting in the chat. And so that has been not waiting in the chat, but waiting in the, what do you call that? The guest room, I guess. But anyway, that's been your news for the day. Hey, I got you in here live.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. I've tried to be a prepared host. We'll see how well that works out. I did everything in 30 minutes. I managed to get maybe 10 questions, so we're going to wing it. So I think first what we'll do is I'd like to introduce you all, or have you introduce yourselves, and we'll start with you, good sir, in the upper right corner.
That'll be me, Mark Torres from McCain Fund Radio, the official of the Big Apple Con. I am running a Kickstarter campaign, so we are the writer and creator of Designated, and I have my co-guest down there as the inker on the project.
That is me, Peter Palmiotti. If you don't know me, then I feel sorry for you. I am the inker of the project, and happy to be so, and happy that we've gone live today. And it already feels like a tour. This is our third live stream regarding this project, and we got many more to come. But yeah, it's so far so good.
Yes, I didn't catch you when you first streamed. I was on YouTube just kind of surfing around, and I saw where Jens had streamed earlier today. and I got to watch a bit of that and kind of got acclimated with your project, which is really cool. It looks good. It looks really good.
Thanks.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, which it is called Designated, right?
Correct.
And it is live right now on Kickstarter.
Correct.
So can you tell me a little bit about what Designated is about?
Sure, but before I wanted to throw on what I mentioned in the comments, you want to go into the water with your friends when you get with the sharks. That way, the shark can eat your friend instead of you.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was worth mentioning.
That's, you know what, to come to think of it, that does sound good. Yeah, that is a great idea. I remember when the one time I flew to Chicago for a comic book convention, I was it was the first time me flying, and I was very scared, about the idea of sitting near a window. I have a natural fear of heights and looking down. It was still beautiful to peer at it from a different angle, but I had my friend sit by the window, and maybe like a small subconscious part of me thought that maybe if for some reason an accident happened, he would be the one sucked out and I would be the survivor. But yeah, that's it's a great idea. I will put that in my cap about having someone go with me swimming. So it would that would work out great.
Yep, there you go. See, that's your tip for the day.
I like that. And let me let's see if I can pull this up. I'm not the best of internet workers here.
Well, right there, you're the best out of me because I'm the worst.
Oh, wow. I'll take that. Cool. I got that pulled up. So now we actually have a visual to go with it. So
yes.
What is Designated about?
Designated is a comic book that I had made to want to be published 30 years ago.
Wow.
It took 30 years for it to actually come to fruition through the trials and tribulations of life.
Yeah.
And it's basically a story about the 5 main characters on the left-hand side who get involved in a war between 2 alien races, which are fighting over a star fragment, which is the capricious star. It gets broken up into some pieces. The war finds its way to Earth, and they wind up getting imbued with powers because of it.
Okay, that's really cool. I like that. So how did they actually get imbued with the star fragments?
So there's 2 warring alien races. You have the good alien races and the bad alien races.
Okay.
The good ones are the little classic green or gray skinned aliens that we're all familiar with. Those would be the ones in the top image and the little guy in the red.
Yeah.
And then you have the warlike, more Bolsiri Geronians, which are the more evil ones. So the good guys had the crystals, the star fragments, and the king sends his designated men, which is his top tier people, to take the crystals to hide it from the evil Dronians. They make it all the way to Earth, and they realize that the only way to hide the crystals from the bad guys is to surgically implant them into the minds of human beings. So that's what they decide to do. And it just so happens, because the main characters are outside or inside a hospital when the biggest car crash happens, a multi-tier car accident, they're rushed to the hospital. The green alien who survived, who made it down to planet Earth and survived, he incorporated himself into the world of humans, and he became a neurosurgeon, which is the only way he can perform the operation to put it inside people's brains.
That's a twist, yeah.
And that's what he does. So opportunity and practice came together, and he managed to choose these 5 people to get the crystals in their head.
So the bad guy aliens, what do they want with the star fragments? The
star fragments are a newly discovered power source that can turn the tide within the war between the 2 alien races.
So it's like they're that powerful.
Yes.
So these people, once they get the fragments, are they like coming together as a team, or is what do they do once they become aware that they have these fragments?
Well, that's the thing. They don't know, and they learn what happens throughout the story. The powers are
Oh,
very low key, so things happen that they're not really sure of or aware of. And the kid with the 5-year-old kid, which is the youngest one in the group shot right there, his power, he kind of has an idea of what's going on. Like, he just knows that everybody needs to get together. He knows that something is bad is going to happen. So he kind of orchestrates them to come together to meet up, to stay away and keep the bad guys from getting what's in their heads.
so do they all have the same power, or do they have different powers?
Each one has different powers. Since this was made in the 90s, and the 90s was the extreme time, everything was above and crazy powerful and off the wall charts. And when I wrote it, I was like, let me go against type and make things very minimalistic powers.
Yeah.
So the 5 different powers are, as we'll go with the blonde. She has a enhanced instincts. It enhances her natural instincts that everybody has. So you have that little voice that you listen to or don't listen to, as most people don't. Or you have that gut feeling that tells you something is off, or you just kind of feel a choice coming up and you're like, what should I do? So her power is that she'll have an idea of what to do. She'll know what choices to make for the best possible outcome in a situation. That doesn't necessarily mean that everything will work in her favor. It's just that out of the options presented, that'd be the better of the two.
Yes.
Then moving up will be Adam. He has the ability of upper limit human strength, speed, and endurance under duress. So unlike where you have a power that's active all the time, it's only active when you're in certain situations where you really need to. For example, like if you're running to catch a bus, or you're in a fight, you get that adrenaline, you get that power inside of you. So it goes to the height of the human limits. So I use the example of Usain Bolt because he's the fastest man alive right now. So if you're in a race, you need to get something, you need to get somewhere fast, you can run as fast or a little faster than Usain Bolt because he's the upper limit human speed in a realistic world.
So Adam can't just like flip a switch. His adrenaline has to get running first before his power can kick in.
Right. So if you're in a fight, then you're like, oh wow, that punch didn't hurt as much as it should have, or wow, I'm healing faster because I got stabbed in the arm, but you don't realize it until it's actually happening. And if nobody tells you, you're just kind of going along with it.
Okay. What about the rest of the team?
So we have the girl up top. That would be Kelly. She's my favorite as powers go because I felt that it was kind of like the most creative I got when I was making up the powers. So she has the ability to absorb the strongest emotion in a radius of people and redirect it back to those people. And once again, she doesn't know she has it. And since she is based on a teenager of a certain age, they are full of emotion. So it kind of made sense that would be her power. So let's say you're at, I don't know, you're at an arcade playing some video game. Well, actually, they don't have arcades now anymore. Like I said, this was done in the 90s.
They're bringing them back in a few places, but yeah.
Let's say you're at a Dave and Buster's or something, and
right,
someone's really hungry because they want to eat like a sandwich, and they're really starving. That's an emotion, and that she'll be able to feel that hunger, and then everyone else around them will also be feeling really hungry. Or if you're in a bar and somebody gets really excited, she'll get excited, and then everybody else will get excited. Or if somebody gets really scared, she'll get the fear and it'll bounce back. But once again, she doesn't know what's happening. It's just things are happening around her. Then we have the African-American guy, that'd be Chris, and he has the ability of mega memory to the next level. So he has photographic memory, but one step further. So whatever he sees or reads, he'll remember it. So you can take like a dictionary and he can actually go and read the dictionary at a normal human rate person, read all the words, and he'll know all the words, but it doesn't necessarily make him smart. It just makes him be able to remember things.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have Ed at the bottom. He, because of his age, a 5-year-old boy, he has the strongest power because he's a kid with a higher imagination. So the power works on your mind. So he has the ability to astral project while he's sleeping. So he can appear in person when a person's awake. He can also appear in other people's dreams, but he has to be sleeping for his power to work. and he also is able to manifest physical energies of a thing. So an example, if let's say his mom is getting stabbed or something, he can envision a character, a policeman, or someone to stop that from happening. Or like if he's if he needs a hammer for some reason, he can manifest a hammer.
Oh, okay.
But he won't know why. He just knows that he needs it, and it happens.
Yeah. Well, I like that. That's really cool. It kind of, in my head, it plays like a really good television series or even a movie, is the way I kind of picture it, because they seem like regular people who, circumstances beyond their control, they end up with these powers, and they just kind of get caught in the middle of something bigger than themselves. It's pretty crazy.
Exactly. That was what I was going for.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, mission accomplished, because that's how I'm picturing it in my head. It's really cool, and I like the whole neurosurgeon brain surgery angle. I think that's pretty cool.
One of the things I had to figure out is I'm a very critical person, thinking wise. I always had thinking outside the box, and then I watch a lot of TV, and I'm more so now than I was back then. But I always had that critical eye, like, why did they do that? Why doesn't make sense? So
yeah,
as I was coming up with this story and the ideas, I kept on asking, well, why did that happen? And why did this happen? And why? And every time I had to answer it, and I did my best to put that into the story. So the fact that he was a neurosurgeon, it made sense. And the fact that they were in the place when the accident happened, which makes sense. And also why the accident happened in the first place is also incorporated into the story. And also the amount of time that it takes for stuff to happen. So you just can't be a neurosurgeon out of, a day, especially if you're an alien from a different world with not knowing anything about the physiology of humans. So that also came into play as he crash landed when Roswell happened. I think it was 1947. And so it explains the time difference between when he crash landed and how he incorporated himself into the world and how he became a top neurosurgeon.
All right. Very cool. I like that.
Does the dog agree with me, or was that the dog disagreeing with me?
Well, they all agree. Hang on a second. Let me kill these dogs. Somebody can call PETA if they like.
Hey, Pete.
I'm right here.
So tell us about the project, Pete, on your end.
Well, it's the whole 5 issues are penciled by Jade Smith, and he did a fantastic job.
I'm back. Go ahead, Peter.
And yeah, I'm just said the artist of the book is Jade Smith, and this is the only comic he's ever done, and probably ever will.
Yeah.
But he did a fantastic job, and I really like working on his stuff. The first issue is completely inked. Working on the second issue. I have a couple of pages of the third issue done. But the whole series has already been fully penciled out. It's all fully scripted, fully penciled. Like I said, I'm working on the second issue. And yeah, the campaign itself is to pay for the coloring, pay for the lettering, and
the printing.
And printing and shipping and all that. But it's a good looking book, and pretty much I read it back then, and it's a really good read. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Speaking of the book being fully done, just give me 1 second here. Let me hit mute on this and kind of let this play in the background, because that was one of the things that I liked about this project, other than the really cool concept and the awesome art. You can see that these pages are completed. You show through the video page after page after page that this is pretty much it's a done book, and that's pretty cool. A lot of people, when they do Kickstarters and Indiegogos and that sort of thing, they're raising capital to make the book, but you've pretty much got that done. So I think, unless there's weird printer problems and things like that, and worldwide viruses that's beyond our control. This book should come out, pretty much on time for backers that back it today.
Some massive shark attack.
Yeah, shark attack. I guess hands are all right, but the feet are at risk. But but yeah, I like that. I like that this is pretty much a done book, and it's who is the artist on this book?
So the artist was Jade Smith. He was a brother of a friend of mine from high school, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll draw it." That was how that happened way back 30 years ago. Like all those pencils were done 30 years ago. So it's quite interesting how it still holds up to this day. The artwork is still acceptable to now.
Oh wow, it does. That's surprising. It kind of puts me in mind of it's not quite the same, but Paul Pewletter. I can't think of his last name. It's got a little dash of that. Not saying that's who he studied. It reminds me of that.
I think Paul worked on Fantastic Four, or did some stuff for Marvel, DC. Yeah.
Yeah, and he filled in sometimes for Dale Keown on
Incredible Hulk. That was one of my favorite books.
That's right.
I love Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, it's a good looking book. And
who did the cover?
The cover is made by as we've dubbed him, Babe artist Francesco with an exclamation point. He's most famous for doing Savage She Dragon for Image Comics, but he's just a Babe artist as of right now.
Wow, that's really cool. So are you the writer on this book?
I am the writer and creator. Yes, that is me, Mark.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Did you actually in 30 years ago, did you draw some of the concept character sketches for any of these characters, or it's more like you gave the descriptions to the artist? How did that work out?
So actually, it's really cool. I had an idea, like if I have a character, what would this character look like? And I thought of celebrities at the time. And I was like, that's the best way to describe something to somebody who's different artists, because you want to try to find different artists. You go, yeah, this person is supposed to look like Britney Spears. That was what she was based off of at the time. Adam is based off of Adam, the character Adam from Power Rangers, Johnny Young Bosch. Chris is based off of a character I saw in a movie, The Day After Tomorrow. He played the black guy in The Day After Tomorrow, and I saw him in the movie. I was like, that if I was casting a movie, that would be him. Kelly was based off the Olsen twins, once again in the 90s, so they look very different. And Ed, he was based off of a Godzilla movie I used to watch. I'm a huge Godzilla fan, and I remember seeing the little Godzilla movie with a little boy who had a little baseball hat on and little shorts that just seemed kind of weird at the time. But that's what he was based off of. As for the bad guys, I just said, actually, since you're a Hulk fan, the Trojan War that Dale Keown did. Those were what the basics were. I was like, hey, make it something like that, and he took it and he made different images. And if you go down a little bit, you can see how they all kind of look the same, but they have like different markings on it. That was all him. He did all of that by himself, and he's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "It looks great. Let's keep it." The classic green screen aliens are just green screen aliens. Everybody knows what they look like. If you close your eyes and said, "What does a green screen alien look like?" you would think the big head, little skinny guy. So that's where the character designs came from.
So, so you had mentioned that you had started working on this 30 years ago, and that there's been a lot of bumps along the road that kind of delayed this coming out. So, can you tell me anything about that? Why it's been such a long journey starting from there to here?
Without getting too much into it, my mother had passed away at a young age for me. So that really threw a monkey wrench in my entire life. At the time, I was in the comic book school, the New York Comic Book School of Fantasy Art and Illustration, the School of Comic Book Art and Fantasy Illustration. It was in Manhattan, and I learned that you can make a comic, I was told, for about $2,000. This is in the 90s, and I was like, I can make $2,000. That's easy. It's not that easy to make $2,000 when you're doing everything else on your own. So that was another thing. It's just the finances, and people don't really know how much it costs to make a book. It's much more expensive nowadays, but back then, even still, just the page rates are things like, oh, that was a lot of money. Then the job I had didn't gave me problems. The movie, I worked at retail for 20 years. So I worked at Blockbuster for 10. Blockbuster closed down. And I worked for this movie theater. Movie theater also closed down. So that was another thing that you have. So once again, it's always situations where you either have the time and you don't have the money, or you have the money and you don't have the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. There's always a bunch of life stuff that gets in the way that's beyond your control, that kind of sets you back on what you're trying to do. And I hear you on the page rates thing. You always want to pay people what they're worth, but I guess for mere mortals like us, we're not Marvel or DC, so we don't have that money to really throw around. And on average, you could pay anywhere from $25 if you're lucky to like $60 and on up per page for artist, for colorist, and a whole slew of creative individuals. So a lot of money goes into just putting the book together, not even including the shipping, the printing of the book and getting it shipped to you, and then shipping it out to the backers.
And even back then, you have a lot of people who you run into over the years, and they like, okay, let's do this. You have this, we can make this happen. We can make that happen. And then stuff doesn't happen. I look at it as akin to seeing as I worked at Blockbuster for 10 years, a lot of independent movies. So it's like a little independent movies. It's just a comic form. It's a different medium, but it's really hard to get that stuff put together. To get actors and get the time and to be able to film it and then edit it, all those little things that you don't put into consideration. And so then you find somebody, you find an investor. Oh yeah, I got the money for it. Let's do this. But then I want this, or I can do this. And then I want that. And then either they don't promise, they underpromise, and things happen where you're like, well, that was a waste of time. That was 5 years out of my life that I can't get back. So these things sort of happen.
So who else is on your creative team?
So we have Pete as the inker. We have George Medina, who is a podcaster and a comic book creator in his own right. He just finished funding his campaign, The Adventures of Wonder Duck. He's a letterer. And a friend of mine who is a co-host of my radio show and an artist in his own right, and who also I had met at the comic book school, Hassan Godwin, is on colors. And then this project right now would not have been able to happen without my graphic designer, which I met online, and she's in the Philippines, and that's Abby Gabato. She was the person who actually designed the story page on the Kickstarter. She designed all that stuff. She did a lot of hard work, and as you may know,
some of the most talented people's from the Philippines. They're really good. And at least in terms of comics, you see them all the time working in as colorists and inkers and letterers and as artists. Extremely talented, hard work.
Not for nothing, you can get a better rate or a better price point for overseas than you can in the United States. I mean, that's just the truth of it. I mean, actually, there's been many discussions about comic book creators that they feel their jobs are being taken by people overseas because their rates are too high.
Yeah, it's it's a hard thing talking about pricing. I often see debates on Facebook on what's a fair price per page rate, and to me I feel like a lot of people starting out should kind of shoot low, because if you want to get paid the big money, I feel like you have to have the visible skill, the wow factor, but you also have to have the experience too to go with that, because to me, you're getting what you pay for. But at the same time, if you're just somebody starting out, or you just been around the block just for a little while, I wish people would, kind of price their prices a little bit lower. But at the same time,
you got to eat.
everybody knows what their value is, and I don't know. It's a big, interesting discussion, And to me, the biggest thing is I just wish a lot of people in the indie community would remember that a lot of these small publishers are working for is not Marvel and DC. A lot of the guys that are running these small publishing books, these indie comic books, they're working day jobs themselves. And oftentimes that money is not from the sale of the book. It's from them working at Burger King or something like that is what's paying their salary.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting stuff. And this is a great looking book. You know, how did you come up with the title Designated? What is that about?
So it's just basically that they're picked or chosen.
Oh,
So I was like, what's a cool word? And designated was the word that won out for that they're designated to be, defend the crystals from the bad guys. They're designated by the alien. I was like, all right, that sounds cool. I like that idea.
very cool, very cool. I'm not going to leave you in the dark, Peter. I was going to ask. So how did you get involved with this project?
Yeah, how did you get roped into this mess?
Yeah.
Well, I met Mark years and years ago. We're both from New York, and met him at a New York Comic-Con, and
Not the New York Comic-Con, a New York Comic-Con.
Yeah, one of the small ones. And he told me he was working on a book and showed me pages to it, and I was like, "That looks really good." And I probably said I'd love to be a part of it, and there's been ups and downs, but yeah, I'm still with the project and churning away pages.
So you inked it, right? And
yeah, I'm the inker on the project. Yeah.
What was this over a period of days, weeks, years, or
years? Because there's a long history to it, and we won't get into it too deep. But I was the original inker, and then it was taken away from me because I was too busy doing other things. Some other people got involved, but they didn't follow through. And all these years later, I think it was online. Like, I forget exactly how, but like, if Mark posted the pages, I forget what happened, but like, I was like, I'd still love to be involved, and he was like, sure. So it came back.
That's a good abridged version.
Yeah. I'm trying to give the abridged version.
Oh, one thing I never did ask you, Pete. Is it weird going back to the project after all this time? Like, are you trying to keep your inks consistent from back then to now?
Well, I'm a very instinctual inker. So I'm just going with my gut, much like your character. And it's just trying to make it look good, trying to improve upon it. And like really with the really real nice coloring that Hassan is doing, he ties it all together. So I'm not worried. I'm not doing anything freakishly different than I was back then. So
Yep. I went blank for some reason. I was wanting to ask, what are you asking for on Kickstarter? What is your Kickstarter goal?
So the goal is the actual goal is $6,128. Would love if miracles and all the stars align to go higher, and we can actually put more of the books out there, so we can actually do issue 2, issue 3, issue 4 in this campaign, and maybe we can even make the trade, provided that we make enough money to reach that level. So we have stretch goals, and we have like stretch goals that we haven't revealed yet, because let's work on one at a time instead of saying, if we make $1 million, like, no, let's not do that. Let's get one at a time. So hopefully we'll make the first stretch goal, and everybody gets 6 free independent comics that I've known throughout the people through over the years. And then if we make another stretch goal, it'll be issue number 2 gets included. So you don't have to pay anything extra. You just get issue 2, 1, and 2. Is if you pay 1, you get issue 1 and 2, and then issue 3, issue 4, and then you'll get the trade as opposed to just issue 1 if we make it all the way up to the high end. But right now it's just $6,128 for this campaign.
How many pages is it going to be?
22 pages. That's something I was told that I have to make more clear on the campaign in the thing. So I gotta do a little tweaks when I get a moment.
Yeah, we'll scroll down here in a little bit, and we'll look at all the different tiers and the things that people can get and all the perks.
Cool.
I was wanting to ask, for me, I've got my own character or characters, like one of them is Wildcat. Some people are acquainted with, and it means the world to me. I created him back in '95, and I've been tinkering with it all the way up to now, and then I've got my anthology comic on Indiegogo, and it's pretty cool, seeing it from where it started and where it's at now. And I was wanting to ask you, what does designated, what does that mean to you?
It actually means something different to 30-year-old Mark than to now Mark, because originally, when I was at the comic book school, I had another project that was my project. That was my baby. That was my creation that I wanted to make happen. In the school, one of the debates was that a lot of the students were like, we don't want to make something and then Image and Marvel will steal our ideas. So, we're not going to do it. So the thought process was that you should make something that you're willing to lose. Well, I guess now is you're willing to give up your IP or a percentage of your IP. And then you can, once you're in the business, then you can go and like, well, this is my real product. This is what I'm always wanting. And I retain all control and rights of it. So I had my original idea. I was like, all right, I have to think of something else to get in there. And this was what I came up with. And as time went on, I spent more time on this project over the 30 years than I have the other stuff. The other stuff's still there, still sitting there, but I haven't visited that in almost 20-something years. I haven't gone back and looked at those pages or that book. And it only got as far as the script stage. This was penciled 30 years ago. So even coming back now to the Kickstarter campaign, I had to go back and look at the script and read the story and make sure the pages match. And seeing it now, I was like, wow, I really put a lot of effort into this under the impression that I wasn't going to hold on to it. But now it's so important to me that this is my baby that I've been trying to birth for 30 years. And the fact that the opportunity is happening right now, it's so weird how life is coming into, for me anyway, that everything's kind of lining up that this is the time to do it. Despite the fact that everything's crumbling around us, the pandemic and the monkeypox and the shark attack, this is the time. Because of the pandemic now, Kickstarter is now, crowdfunding is the big thing. So now I can do it. Before I couldn't. So it really means the world to get this puppy actually physically out there to all the people.
Not really related, but you brought up monkeypox and the viruses and there's like all these different wars around the world and the economy and stuff. And sometimes I feel like that guy that went viral, like, leave Brittany alone. But it's more like, leave me alone.
And you think, and to think of it, that guy was right. That Brittany guy was right all this time. They were making fun of him over the years. He's like, validation. I wonder if he even knows, like, if he's still around. Like, hey, what does that guy think?
I remember a couple of years ago, I did a live stream, and I was just talking about how Britney Spears was potentially being held hostage and all this other stuff. And all of a sudden, my stream just got shut down. And every time I would talk about her on a live stream, because it was an interesting topic, my strange things that happen, my stream would just get shut down.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, I know. And it turned out like a few short years later, she gets out from under custody of her father and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
The truth, the truth comes out. It's weird. And the fact that she's based on my character. So what an interesting connection.
Yeah. But bringing it back full circle to designated, I was asking what it meant to you, and you was talking about like how it started out as one thing, and then it morphed into something entirely different, and it became something very near and dear to your heart. And I've done that with there's like some public domain superheroes that I'm wanting to use to kind of get myself out there and to also get better as an artist and as a writer. And I'm like, well, since this isn't mine, I can have the freedom to not care. And I can actually do something, just get better because I'm working. But what ends up happening is, because you're a creative person, you start putting your heart into it, you know, and all of a sudden, like, it's like, well, shoot, I'm back where I started. You know, I'm very passionate about this character now. It's strange how that happens, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I created retro back in the late '70s, and I
Wow.
still got to get the first issue out.
So you're going. So we're doing 40 years now. So
Yeah,
so your story is going to be 40 years in the making.
Wow, I feel like yous are all one up in me, you know. So, you know, Wildcat was early '90s, and your book was 30 years ago, and then we're going back to the '70s.
The early '90s was 30 years ago, so we're on the same level here.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I'm delusional. Okay, to me it was yesterday.
We might be more connected, you and I, because we're Hulk fans, Peter David,
yeah,
all that stuff. So we might be right there.
Yeah, we probably are, but I guess I feel like the guy in Napoleon Dynamite that is reliving his high school days. Like, oh man, if I could just do that one pass, and he's always practicing with that football,
right.
like, you know, like it's coming up tomorrow. He gets a chance to do it over.
That's Al Bundy right there. We're Al Bundy right now.
Yeah, we are. Well, that's terrible. You've depressed me now.
I know if I did my comic when I created my character, it would have been crap. So I'm glad to be doing it now.
Yeah. Let's see.
So what made it less crap?
Yeah. I agree with that. You know, that's one of the cruel benefits of age. You know, as you get older and you apply yourself in comics. Not that I'm a comic book guru, mind you, but you know, the cool thing is, you know, what you're going to put out later is going to be better than how you started. So I like that. I was wanting to say, let's take a look at the actual Kickstarter and start scrolling down. A little earlier, I had played a flip through of all the pages and stuff like that. It's currently raised $374 in its first day. I think today was day one of the launch.
Day one. We're 9 hours in. So woo.
This is really good, and it's a $6,128 go. So people really have to hop on this to make this happen. And you know, I was looking at Kickstarter. I've been an Indiegogo guy for a little while, and so I'm not saying I'm Indiegogo pro, but what I'm saying is when I've been researching and looking at Kickstarter, you know, these things do fund, and there's something to that, you know, to Kickstarter. It's a platform where it's mostly, you know, when it comes to comics, it's more known for comics. So I expect great things for this campaign. Right now, we've got 11 backers with 30 days to go, $374 to start with day one, and the day is not ended yet. Let's say we got the designated, and we got some descriptions about the campaign a little bit. And we've got the story, and we covered this earlier. Yep. But to read this to the audience, it's set in the 90s, designated, tells the story of two warring alien races, the peace-loving, is it the Forlans?
Forlans, yep.
Awesome. I got that right. The Forlans and the warlike Geronians?
Geronians, you got it.
All right. In a desperate last-ditch attempt to hide a newly discovered power source that could change the tide of their centuries-old war, King Tessin, I got it right, I guess.
You got it.
Sends his finest warriors across the galaxy to protect and hide the star fragments so that no one, not even the leader of the Geronians, King Brigand.
Look at that. Yes. Batting 100.
Yeah. And this is the one time my Kentuckian accent is working to my benefit. This is really coming together.
I got to tell you, when I was coming with those names, I was like, I wonder if everybody's going to be able to pronounce these weird names. And you did amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm proud of myself. I'm usually terrible with names. So this leads us to our heroes, 4 young adults and 1 5-year-old boy who gain powers as a result of being surgically implanted with the fragments. And then we get this awesome cover by
Babe artist Francesco. You got to make sure you put Babe artist Francesco.
Yes, the Babe artist. And down below, we get a preview of the pencils, inks, colors, and letters Very cool. Very cool. Something always comes up, and no matter how hard I try, something always slows me down. Dang it. Drops the contents of her purse. I like it. I can see a little bit of Palmiotti's inking style here on the bed with the cross hatching.
Yeah.
The dead giveaway. And this is the Furlins.
Yes. You are
with
correct.
the great
Forlorn,
skin.
Yeah.
Now, the guys in the armor, these mercenary looking aliens, are these the bad guys or somebody else entirely?
Those are the Duronians, and that's the King Brigand is actually in the middle. The lighting is a little off, but you can see he has a little tiny crown. And like I said, the artist designed all the different patterns on all their faces. That was all him. So I thought it was really cool that he came up with each one. That way he can tell all of the characters apart.
Oh, yeah, that is smart. I like that. Yeah.
Because remember, this is his first ever drawing anything of this scale. And as he was drawing the story, remember, it's a full story, but this is just for the first issue. But he did 110 pages of story. So he drew 110 pages over the course of probably like 2-3 years. So when he got to issue 5, his art was so much better than it was at issue 1. So I actually had him go back and redraw a couple of panels and pages.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Both me and my friend Will Avenger, we've had to, you get good as you go along. And what ends up happening, you look at your prior pages that you've done, and it's like, yeah, I guess I got to draw that again, because you get better, and then also you get a better eye for things too, like you start to realize like, oh, that one is good as I thought it was. Huh. Yeah, close the door, son. Take that crazy dog with you. Okay. All right, so we're going to the rewards. $1 will get you a special on-air shout out and thank you on our radio show, which is It Came From the Radio, the official radio show of the Big Apple Con. I like that. That's awesome.
Nice.
And what is it, son? Yeah. No, well, here, you need to get through there right now and take Rocky with. Well, go on. Why are you negotiating with me for it? Well, turn your light on. Go ahead. Hurry. So anyway, so are you the host? It came from the radio?
Yes, that is my radio show. That was one of the other things that was a sidetrack. Actually, the radio show came out to make the book happen. So I was driving along and I heard an announcement on the radio. Hey, if you have a passion for something, you want to interview experts in your field, why don't you have a radio show? And I called them up and I had a radio show thinking that the connections I would make in the comic book world would lead me to have my own comic book. And it kind of did, although all these years later. I actually managed to get a comic published with Mario Nasizia for War of the Independence crossover that was done by Red Level Comics and Dave Ryan. Once again, thanks to Peter Palmiotti. And so now this is actually my own property all by myself. So it's not a crossover, completely original story and characters.
Yep.
Well, tell me more about the podcast, because I think some people, this might be a good opportunity to promote themselves with the $1 bit.
So the podcast is actually a real radio show. It's on terrestrial radio and online radio stations. If you live in Westchester County, New York, it's on 88.1 FM WARY. Other than that, it's online on sci-fi.radio on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, on BTD Radio on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on Indie Volt at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we also have on over 40 different podcast places. So if you have a podcast outlet, we're probably on there. You just Google our name and it comes up. We focus on independent comic book, pop culture kind of things. The independent characters is what's the bread and butter, because I've learned that there's so much good stuff out there done by the independents as opposed to mainstream media. But of course, we do have the occasional big time guest. The biggest guest we've had, and I'm going to name drop some here. We've had William Shatner on. We've had Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
We've had Amy Jo Johnson, Power Rangers. Who who else? What was that part? We actually interviewed Flash Gordon a couple weeks back, and
I love
he
that.
gave our show a shout out. He endorsed us, which was kind of cool. It's on our YouTube page that he endorses. Hey, you got to watch this show. I'm like, hey, well, thanks, Flash.
Flash, Flash. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, you're a
Yeah,
Power
but-
Ranger fan by chance?
Just slightly, like I see. I was a child in the '80s, and I remember Voltron, and so when
yes.
Power Rangers came around, I was like, "Ooh, Power Rangers, Voltron, rip off." But I did get in. I did get into the first couple of seasons of the original Power Rangers, but I never really stuck with it hardcore past those first couple of seasons. I got up to Lord Zordon, and but after they started, it went to them turning into cars and different things. I kind of lost interest.
So we've had Amy Jo Johnson as a guest on the show, and she
Yeah.
became a filmmaker now. So that's how I wound up reaching
Oh.
out to her, because she is an independent filmmaker. She made her own feature film, and she did it on, I think it was Indiegogo. She had an Indiegogo campaign.
Oh,
I
cool.
reached out to her, and I was like, hey, I'm interested. I'm a big fan. I would love to help promote it. And we've become a professional relationship all these years later. She just directed an episode of Superman and Lois.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's
Wow.
really cool that she's the breakout out of all of them. Despite what you may believe, she's probably the biggest name out of them. As like, she's probably, I would think her like the Ron Howard. Like, she was he was Opie. He was on
Yeah.
Happy Days, but then he went on to bigger and better things. So she was there. She's an actress. Now she's a director and a writer and a filmmaker in her own right.
That's crazy. That's crazy how that works out. It seemed like the Green Ranger had some momentum there for a while, and then he was doing like MMA for a short stint, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And now just kind of, I could be wrong, nothing. It's interesting how life works out like that.
Yeah, it really is. We've had him on also. I think I had a lot of the original cast members on there. I think the only ones we haven't had on is Zach and Jason. As if you're a fan of the show, you would know who those are.
So this is pretty cool. $1 donated to this Kickstarter campaign can get you a special on-air shout out and a thank you on the radio show with all these awesome guests. And you can just keep, whenever you have spare change laying around, if there's still such a thing, laying in couches and stuff, you can borrow a debit card with some please, if you're a child or whatever, or especially if you're adult, just take that debit card. It's $1. If you ain't got nothing to give $1. You can keep giving dollars throughout the week, as you can afford it. And then here we've got $3 for a digital copy of the comic book. Now, I've seen people mark these up to $8, $10, or a whole lot more. So this is actually a pretty good deal, $3 for the digital comic. And, myself, I enjoy reading digital comics as well as the physical media.
Right.
So I like having both, so I can have both of the same book. And speaking of which, $15 will get you the physical copy of the comic, and it will get you the digital copy of the comic, which is a great deal. So, you can have your physical copy at home, and you can take your digital with you on the road with a tablet, with your phone, or whatever your devices are, or on your desktop computer, and not worry about it getting wet or wrinkled. Well, you still have to worry about your electronics getting wet and wrinkled, but your comic book will be safe.
Yes, exactly.
Let's see. If we go on down, $17, a physical copy of the comic book. So this $15 deal is a good deal. We got the $17 deal, and we got the $20. Here's what $20 gets you: an exclusive Natasha trading card. Who is Natasha in Designated?
She is the Britney Spears, the blonde. That's
okay. Yeah, the mentalist, the one, or not the mentalist, but she's got heightened senses.
The instincts. Right? The instincts. The gut instincts. Yes.
Yes.
I really got to come up with better names than what they have.
Well, with $20,
she has a cut.
With $20, what you get is an exclusive Natasha trading card, a physical copy of the comic book, and a digital copy of the comic book. This is the best tier yet. You get these 3 things for just $20, which is pretty cool. We go on down here for $120 for anyone that's watching this. You're going to get a signed. I'm going to kill that dog. Peter might as well just come after me now. Row, 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 row. But for $120, a signed random original comic page, a physical copy of the comic book, and a digital copy of the comic book. So that's pretty cool. I like the fact that, you know, you got this, you're getting this big, what size paper did he draw this on?
1 by 17.
11 by 17. Wow.
Yep.
So that's going to be cool. You can, you know, somebody for $120 can frame this original artwork on their wall. Shoot, well, if it was me, I would frame the artwork and the comic book and put that on the wall and then order an extra comic book to go with it.
But when you frame it, you got to open
digital.
it up to the page that it's on when you put it in the frame. So that way people can be like, oh, that's the comic. That's the original.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is a good deal. $120 for original art plus a comic book and a digital copy.
Yep.
We go down to the $220 tier. And, I want to say, first of all, whoever designed the, put together this Kickstarter, the layout of this page, did a really good job.
That's how a graphic designer from the Philippines, that's Abby Gavato. She did an amazing job.
She did. She did. Tell her she knocked it out of the park because it really pops and catches the eye in a good way. But for $220, a custom made, is that 5-inch?
Yep, 5-inch. So
Okay.
I'm holding an example of one here.
Oh, let me click over here. Oh, cool. Hang on. Let me see if I can enlarge your screen somehow. I don't know if I can do that.
The rectangle on his thing.
All right. We see it a little bit better now. Yeah. Very cool.
So this is a 5-inch sculpt, one of a kind, handmade. Any position you want to make, and it'll be of any character you can choose from the book. So you can get any of the heroes or the villain, the main villain, and he's a little bigger, so he'd be like 6 inches instead of 5 inches.
Okay,
So this is what you get, packed in just like this, a nice little container box, and it'll be mailed to you as is. Like I said, you get to choose the design, but you get to pick the character you want.
Oh, I like that. I love the fact that you get to pick the character. I think that's really cool. So custom made 5 or 6 inch clay figurine. You get the physical copy of the comic book and the digital copy. So that is awesome. I like that. Okay, now we're getting into some serious dough, but you get a lot of cool one-of-a-kind collector's items that go with this. For $1,020, you're going to get a custom-made 12-inch clay figurine. So what does that mean, a custom-made 12-inch figurine?
So as opposed to the 5 and 6 inch that you have here, he'll make a larger one out of better materials, and it'll be more detailed, but like twice the size.
Oh, wow. I like that. That's really cool. Or a battle diorama featuring all the main characters from the book.
Yeah, so you get all the 5 main characters and an evil villain and like a battle scene of you. You can design the scene yourself, but you get them all in there.
So you have a choice between the custom-made 12-inch clay figurine or a battle diorama featuring all the main characters from the book.
Right.
Very cool. And, of course, a physical copy of the comic book and a digital copy of the comic book. So that's really cool. And, you know, the one thing I always try to impart. There we go. There's my English. One of the things to try to impart people about indie comics is when you're backing these campaigns, you know, these are potentially collector's items. These are one-of-a-kind items that you can't get anywhere else. And the fact that it comes with these figurines and stuff like that is really cool, you know. Down below, we've got, I want to read this little blurb here. Get a custom-made 12-inch clay figurine battle diorama featuring all the main characters from the book from Shadow Rabbit. It's a $1,500 value, $1,500 value. That's pretty cool. A $5 add-on is an exclusive Natasha trading card. So these add-ons, basically, you know, you can back any of the, what do you call them, the tiers, any of the tiers.
Right.
and say like, well, I want something extra. They can get one of these add-ons to add to that, correct?
Correct.
All right,
So if
so
they want
for
to get a card
$5,
with the original artwork, you can get a card thrown in there for $5 more.
okay, cool. So we got the Natasha trading card for $5.
And
For
also,
$5, we've got looks like Sunburst.
yep, my character. So that way you get one from the Warlord Independence trading card I have right here as well.
And then down below we have the stretch goals. So like if it meets the funding goal, if I can look up here,
Yep.
of $6,128, if that goal is met, we've got a stretch goal of $6,200, which is people's going to get digital copies of 6 different indie comics. Oh, I like that.
Yep.
A total of 202 pages. If we reach our first stretch goal, anyone who backed this project will receive 6 additional digital comics. Ego Raven, Hair of the First Unicorn, #1 by Daphne Lage.
Yep, Daphne Lage, you got it.
Tall Tales, Tears of the Mother, #1 by J.D. Calderon.
You are doing really good.
And Daphne Lage. The Oswald Chronicles, #1 by J.D. Calderon and Jade Gonzalez. The Edge, #1 by Marvin Wynn.
Yep.
Storm Chasers, #1 by J.D. Rosario.
You almost had it.
Missed one the whole night. And Russ Leach.
Yep.
And Memoirs of an Angel, #1 by Brian Rodman.
Yeah, so now you're at 99.9%.
Yeah, that's not a bad batting average. And the cool thing is you got links to every one of these. So if people want to see what these books are kind of about, they can check them out there.
Yep.
Come back to this campaign and save up their paycheck for a month and then go and do the $1,000 thing and get all this good stuff and help you meet your funding goal. And, again, folks,
get 6 people.
yes. And again, folks, I just want to remind you that, if you don't have money to spare and you want to support the campaign, one of the nicest things that you can do is give $1. $1 will help. Every little bit counts, helps them get to where they need to go. And you can always give dollars sporadically as you can, because to me, when you're backing indie comics, you're not just investing in the book, you're investing in the creators. You're saying, hey, I see potential in you. I see greatness in what you're doing. And I want you to be able to do this as a career. I want you to do more of it. And the only way that indie comic creators can do more of what they're doing is if they get the funds to be able to do it. And so I just want to remind everybody about that, because a lot of us have day jobs, and to make that transition to give you more of what you want, we need your help, and this campaign needs your help. So there's extremely affordable tiers. So you can give $1, get you a shout out on this awesome show. It came from the radio. You can give $3, get you a digital comic. $15 will get you both the digital comic and the physical copy. Get the floppy. And then lots of cool stuff, such as the $20 goal, where you're getting the trading card, the digital, and the physical. And we can go on down. The $120 is a really great deal. And I this is one of my favorites here, because you're getting a piece of original artwork, you're getting the comic, and you're getting a digital. Yep. So let me see. And I never get a chance to cover this. Meet the creators. We got Torres.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're doing well.
All right. Creator and the writer. Born and raised in Rosedale, Queens, New York, Mark has been involved in comics and movies all his life. First as a fan, and later his passion led him to work both in video stores and movie theaters, and eventually found himself hosting a weekly syndicated radio show. It came from the radio. The show is on both terrestrial and online radio stations, as well as on demand on over 40 different podcast platforms. So you should be able to find this anywhere, folks.
Yep.
iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so much more. All listed at the itcamefromradio.com. Mark brings a critical and unique point of view to the entertainment industry. He co-wrote a comic book featuring his character Sunburst, which we saw that trading card a little earlier, and Sunburst and Phaser and War of the Independents crossover issue 2, published by RZG Comics.
And that's me pointing to the comic book in the picture.
Yes. And then we've got our friend and pal, inker extraordinaire, Peter Palmiotti, who has been inking comics since September of 1991. He has worked for Marvel, DC, Valiant, Wizard Magazine, and has been published by Image, not to mention a great number of indie comics since the very beginning of his career. And to this day, he is known for his run on Aquaman during the Peter David and Jim Calafiore run, when Aquaman has his hook hand, which is a pretty cool run, which greatly influenced the Aquaman movie, of course. Beyond just inking, Peter has dabbled in writing assist, production, pinups, and overall advice to other creators. He's been expanding his skill set in recent years to focus his writing and pending to forge ahead with his own comic book company, and has Comics Dude Retro, a creator-owned, I feel like I botched that somehow, a creator-owned creation of his own, originally conceived in the late 70s, is the first metahuman set to be published in the fall of 2022. We got Hassan Godwin. Is that correct?
Hassan Godwin, look at you.
Yeah, he's a colorist. He is an artist, a writer, and a musician living in New York City. Has been drawing since he was 3 years old, writing since he was 10. He attended the Art Students League when he was in high school, attended the Pratt Institute when he was 17 years old for an associate's degree in illustration. He also did an internship with Valiant Comics. Man, there's all kinds of people with experience, which turned into job in production, which lasted 5 years. He then worked for Wizard Magazine for 10 years, and he has recently had his art published in Thing art book printed in blood. I like that. Printed in blood. George Medina.
Yes, sir.
The letterer, and he was born in, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I'm going to lose. But I can say Ecuador. He was born in Ecuador and migrated to the U.S. as a boy. He grew up in New York and graduated with a marketing degree from Mercy College. He later attended a life drawing class at School of Visual Arts, which propelled him into the comic book world. I feel so small reading all these bios. I really do. To date, his published works include Russ 5377, Project Prototype, published through Mass Media Studios, and The Adventures of Wonder Duck, the Fiorian Takeover Part 1, published through Dark Fire Press. And then we got Abby Gabato.
Yes, sir. Look at you.
Graphic designer.
Yep.
She's a professional interior designer and art teacher based in Manila, Philippines, who sometimes dabbles in illustrating and graphic design. She is also a co-owner and layout designer for Tampers PH. And got me there, where she is in charge of the yearly planner layout design, social media posts, and managing the shipping and delivery logistics. With that, she is the It Came From the Radio editor, and when she edits audio files, the podcast into the podcast format, and reworking content for accuracy and clarity. She likes pineapples on her pizzas and in her burgers, and she also put this Kickstarter together, and she did a bang up job.
She did. Yeah. Like, without her, this wouldn't have happened. I tell her all the time, like, she did an amazing job putting this together, because I know nothing. So it would just been like one picture, maybe missized, and a whole bunch of words. That would have been what my campaign would have looked like. It would have been horrible.
Yes. I don't know. I think I do know, and this is just me mumbling, but I feel like this is a really great project. I like seeing things come together, and this has been 30 years in the making, and the time is now. The book is pretty much done. Anybody can go to Kickstarter right now and click on the video, and you see him physically flip through all the pages. They're penciled, they're inked, the script is done. All this stuff is pretty much done, and so you're not going to have a long wait time when you go to back this book. And it's pretty awesome concept. You got aliens that are at war with one another. There's this important fragments, star fragments that are at the center of this whole thing, and these kids end up in this wacky war of these aliens caught in between, and they end up with powers because of these fragments. And the book kind of writes itself from there. And to me, when I was hearing the pitch of this, I picture it as a television series, something really cool, like Lost. Not saying it is like Lost, but it's got that quality, right. Or like a movie. I can see it playing out. It would be really awesome. And like I said, if you got $1 to give, you give $1. If you got $20, you're probably going to get, off the top of my head, a book and a digital copy. $120, you're getting that awesome
original art.
Original art that goes with the comic and with the digital copy, which is a great deal. Let's see. Before, I think it's about wrap up time, but before we wrap anything up, is there anything that you would like to say, Mark, before we go? And then I'll give everybody a chance to bow out.
I just want to say, as CB was saying, even if you can't afford $1, share it on social media. Tell people about it. I think that is extremely important, because you might know somebody who might like this and they don't know about it. So if you share it, you put it out there and you go, hey, check this out. You never know. Working in retail for 20 years, like I said, I worked 10 years at Blockbuster Video, and I worked 10 years in a movie theater. The word of mouth really does make a difference. So I would implore you, like I said, if you cannot pledge, if you can, great, awesome. Well, I don't mind taking your money, but if you cannot, for any reason, whatever financial situation you're in, share it out there. That's my final thought on that.
So anybody watching this, if they want to get in touch with you or check out any of the cool stuff that you have to offer, where can they find you online?
Easiest place, it came from the radio. You just Google that. It should be one of the top 3 or 4 things that pop up. You can go to www.itcamefromthere.com. We're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram. Not Instagram. I always say that. Facebook and Twitter mostly. Instagram, but they always say to stick to 2. So those are my 2, is Twitter and Facebook.
All right, you're up to bat, Peter. Where can people find you online? Anything that you want to pitch? I mean, pitch away.
I'm everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, DeviantArt, whatever. Peter Pongiati everywhere. I hope people check out the project, check out the campaign page, share it out. Like, the independent community is great. And really, the success relies on fans. So pledge, share, I hope to get this book in my hands myself.
Awesome. I feel like everything we did done. Wow, we ain't doing everything with these dogs now. Better hush, Roger.
Thanks, Anthony.
I feel like everything went pretty good, considering I just had 10 questions.
It went great. Thanks for having us on.
I really appreciate the last minute show of support.
Yeah. I wasn't for sure if I was going to be able to live stream today. I was supposed to work, and ended up not going into work because I ain't got no babysitters handy because everybody's sick, and so it was meant to be. This was meant to be. Other than the dogs, but
the dogs are excited about the book. That's what I gotta say. They're excited. They want to read it. Get them a copy so they can pee on it. That's how excited they are.
Well, I think what it is, the other dogs in the neighborhood, they're like, "There's a book. You need to back. Designated."
I will say, congrats with Wildcat. That went up a bit. It's 68% funded now. So we're still going with Wildcat Anthology.
Oh, yeah, the Wildcat campaign. Yeah, it's at thanks to a very awesome backer, and he knows who he is. We're up to $1,030 now, and so the 500 we're 500 away, which seems very achievable now because we've got a long stretch of time, and so I'm actually doing a bad thing and getting a glimmer of hope in my eye. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Still got to walk that pavement and get the word out.
Yeah. Oh man, I hate walking the pavement. I just like to sit and create, but like going in, it's like when you have a campaign, it's very much like running for president, and you got to go out and kiss all the babies and shake all the hands, and then when you're an artist, you're a natural. I think most artists and some writers are introverts, so it's like you have to really overcome that and put yourself out there.
It's like going on to a convention.
Yeah, I need to do that. But Jen's done awesome. In the first day, raised over $300, close to $400 now. So I think with that, we'll end the show. And so I'll go ahead and cue up the outro music. And I just want to remind everybody tuning in that I always like to say, including the dogs, that, be the change that you want to see. Be the tide that lifts all ships. I believe truly if you have righteousness on your side, mighty forces will come to your aid. Carpe diem, my friends. And hopefully in a dog-free episode after a mass murder of dogs that will never be proven, I'll catch you in the next video.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks.